thank you, Toastmaster, for that introduction, and thank you, Roger, also for the introduction. As a kindergarten teacher, I've had almost 20 years of teaching, and I'm doing my hand thing again. Almost 20 years of teaching children under the age of 5. And throughout my studies, I had to look at a variety of different perspectives on how children learn, how they develop, and what I remember from when I was studying was that it was very much the developmental domains and starting to look at socio-cultural sort of perspectives where they learn and develop from within the family context that they're born into. Now, over the years, there have been many more philosophies and theories that have come about. So a couple of other ones of those, the other one which I've put down, which I haven't mentioned, is the Indigenous perspective, which is one that has started to, I guess probably in the last 5 years of my career, has really started to take off, with people wanting to have that perspective or that input taught with the children. But up until recently, one of the areas I have often used in my past when I've been working both in long daycare and in childcare is I'd like to bring in that spiritual aspect. Now, early on in my career, that was very much just about doing a bit of meditation or a bit of mindfulness, just getting the children just to go, close their eyes, go in for a couple of breaths, and just calming down. And like that's as far as I could understand it. But in the wider context of what I've seen as a kindergarten teacher, majority of the time, the only sort of thing related to spirituality that teachers will embrace or support is around different celebrations. About 3 months ago, I did a training with a well-known organisation in the early childhood field, and as part of that training they gave us this document called the World View of Early Childhood, and in that document it has a page which has about a dozen different perspectives. So that has little videos, 10 to 15 minutes, that give an outline of the different perspectives. So there's the socio-cultural, the developmental domains, the Indigenous perspective, using theories. And I was looking at this, I'm like, yeah, this is all, like, it'd be good to go into them because it has been such a long time since I studied. And when I was looking through there, I saw a video saying the spiritual perspective, and I was like, wow, 20 years, even today I was going through my textbooks from when I studied, and there was one of the textbooks had one part in the index that had spirituality, but then it said go to individual faiths, talk about death, developing our own belief systems, and that was it. It didn't really go into much perspective. So I thought, well, if I really want to take this interest that I've had for so long, and I feel really passionate about, okay, I need to look at these videos and see what they're talking about. So what I discovered early on was, in this researching, was that I needed first to be able to define what spirituality meant. And when we talk about that, like, everyone will have a very different perspective of what spirituality is. So I can only really go on my basis and also the information which I'll just go through some of the points in a moment, which those academics and teachers were using as part of the basis for that spiritual perspective of early childhood, which I guess I'm a bit progressive maybe in my thinking, because like I'm saying, early childhood or early childhood development or early childhood education, but I look at it as being, this is part of our life. So it's not necessarily just something that we do as a child, or if we're a Christian, it's not just something we do on a Sunday because God says come to church and sit down and be a good boy. I look at it as being something that, yes, we learn at a certain time, but then we can take that on for the rest of our life. So some of the points that the academics were saying was that one of the academics works on the basis that the child chooses the parents and the parent chooses the child. And not, I wouldn't say everyone would recognise or believe this, but there are quite a few spiritual beliefs that have that sort of understanding, particularly like if you're looking into reincarnation and things like that. Children always live through a sense of awe and wonder. They're always just amazed at everything that's going around them. And they live in the flow of life. One of the things that came to me when I was looking at all this information was that I realised that us and children, we learn through our emotions and also our feelings, and that's also as part of the interconnectedness of the relationships all around us. I'll start summing up. Okay, so I hope that what I've been able to show you is just some of the ideas that have come through in the past, some of the learnings that I had done prior to these study or this research which I recently discovered, but also some of the theories that the academics brought in. And I think we'll leave it there. So thank you.
John? Nice one. All right. Our second speaker tonight, President